Hey guys, Mark with Think Insurance, and today we're going to talk on a very quick subject, which is a couple states that don't require you to carry car insurance. I see it all the time. I think you might be one of the people that make a comment below and say, I don't get it. Insurance is a scam. Why do I have to do it? They require it everywhere. Well, they don't. There's two states that don't have to have insurance. One of them is New Hampshire, the other one is Virginia. Now, there are a couple caveats that you do have to meet some criteria in order to not have to carry insurance there. That criteria is going to be based on your finances. You have to have $50,000 in New Hampshire for bodily injury and $25,000 for property damage in case you damage someone's car. So essentially you have to have $75,000 in the bank ready to go, or they might have you purchase what's called a bond. So you have to have showing proof that that income's available. Now, is there a benefit to this? Not really. Those of you that are heart set and think that insurance is a scam, then absolutely, you may feel a benefit, but so help me if you get into a car accident, you are going to regret that purchase. It's not even the small claim that matters. So let's say, for example, you get into a car accident and it's a fender bender. Maybe it's $300 worth of damage, a little bit of scuff, someone fixes the paint, maybe a rim got broken. Who knows? Even if it's a few $1,000s, you're thinking, okay, that's awesome. I'm still saving a ton on insurance year by year. But what if that person has any type of whiplash? Or what if they have any type of a medical injury, so their shoulders are too tight now, and they go to the chiropractor, and the chiropractor tries some things, it doesn't do anything, and then they end up going to the hospital and having all sorts of medical expenses built up. Those add up pretty quickly. The average medical claim is not that high, but it's higher than what you would pay in insurance. So, for example, I'll use Michigan. We have what's called the PIP reform. It's the medical portion of our car insurance. And recently they changed the laws where you don't have to carry it depending on if you have medical elsewhere or there's lower limits. Well, they did some average numbers, and in Michigan, 90 some odd percent don't go above 250,000. So in Virginia or New Hampshire, part of the reason they don't require you to carry that extra insurance is because they don't have as high of a claim. So I think it's safe to say that they're a lot lower of a medical risk, so the chances of that happening in those states are really low. That being said, that risk is still there. So yes, you could have $1 million claim against you. That's the risk that you take. Most likely not. So what would typically happen is you have an accident and maybe it's $10,000 worth of medical. Well, add up those numbers and say, was it worth it to pay out $30,000 for the car and $10,000 for the medical? So I've spent 40 some odd $1,000 just in a claim to not have insurance. Now, could you go the whole 30 years and never have a claim? Sure. But let's do the numbers. Let's say you pay an average of $1,200 a year for car insurance, which is pretty common or even a little bit high, unless you're in Michigan, and that's not even close to what you're supposed to pay. But let's use that as an example, because not all states are like Michigan and pay ridiculous amounts. Let's say $1,200 or even $1,000 a year. Let's make it simple. Do shorter math in my head. And you go 30 years, so you have $10,000 or $1,000 times 30 years, that's $30,000. So the risk of having a claim in a 30-year period and not having a $30,000 claim is a number you're going to have to calculate. Now, could you go your whole life and never have a claim? Probably, absolutely. I hope to never have another claim. I've had 2 in my life, and I'm almost 40. So when I look that back, I say, okay, I've had 2 claims. The first one was pretty minor, so it was probably about $5,000 to $8,000. And then the next one was pretty minor as well, no medical injuries, probably about $5,000 there. So I've probably only had about $20,000 worth of claims, and nobody luckily has been hurt. So in my case, I've done well from age 16 to 37. That's 21 years, I haven't had anything. So the risk is up to you at the end of the day if you're in New Hampshire or Virginia. Now, some states, they do offer those bonds as well, but most of them don't. In most cases, you're required to have insurance, mainly because the risk in the state is too big of a pool. The state can't afford to defend and to have a whole casing. You know, it ties up the courts. It ties up everything. So at the end of the day, that they have to plan on that. But also, not just that part, because that argues the point of, yeah, why do we have to have it? Well, I will go more in depth in this video here if you guys want to watch that. But the main reason is, should you have insurance? In the end of the day, in most cases, if we took 1,000 people across the board, even if 20% of them had claims, and the majority, the 80%, didn't have claims, it could make a lot of a difference. But if you're one of those people in that 20%, you're not happy that you chose that. You may have $1 million claim at the back end and all of your pay is deducted for the rest of your life. 30% of your income's gone. So there's a lot of risk for that to go that route. Let's also look at it as a business thought, right? If I was a company and I were to build a company and I'm speaking and I'm doing all sorts of stuff and I've got 5 employees, but we're making $3 million a year, whatever the case is, we're a corporation. Would you insure the corporation? Absolutely, because if something happened, you wouldn't want that corporation, your entire livelihood, your income to go bankrupt. And it's the same thing for you. You're your own person. You're your own incorporated, your LLC, so to speak. And when you're in a vehicle, there's a possibility that you do fall asleep. I've stayed up late making these videos, and the next day I'm dead tired. I get through my workday, have 7 cups of coffee, and I'm driving home and just like barely keeping my eyes open driving, sometimes to the point where I've taken trips and I've pulled over and slept for a half hour. So you've got to know, like, at the end of the day, if you're like me and you're willing to push your body to that point, because I think I can do it and I know I can, just slap myself across the face real quick and open the window and have some pop and some tea and all, like, try to get yourself to go. But before you know it, 5 minutes later, you're just like, so those things are possibilities. You know you better than me, so you guys got to make the call at the end of the day. So there are 2 states that do it. I thought I'd bring it up. It'd be a fun topic. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? If there was no requirement in your state to carry insurance, would you? I'm Mark with Think Insurance. I'll see you in the next one.